Hi, this is attorney Nicole Christie from the Christie Law Firm, where we work hard to make families stronger. Today, I want to talk to you about what should you do if DCF raises a concern about your child's attendance or their performance at school. So typically what happens is that a school will notify DCF if there is a child attendance issue. Now, each school district and maybe even the individual school will have some kind of policy around attendance. You should probably look at that policy, know what it is for yourself, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where they have to call DCF. So typically they're looking for those unexcused absences, that there are a lot of them in probably a short period of time. And normally the school will try to reach out and say, hey, there's a concern around the attendance. And if it gets to a point where they know it has breached their policy and there's a concern, they will notify DCF. That's a little different from if there is a performance issue. So I'll speak to that in a moment. So if there is an attendance issue and DCF is called, they're going to want to know why that child is missing so much school. Sometimes it's a medical issue. I had a client whose child had asthma and was often out of school due to asthma attacks, and she thought it was just easier to keep him at home and actually school him at home. However, she didn't file the necessary paperwork with the school, and therefore they said that he was delinquent in his attendance at school. So we remedied that by making sure that she filed the necessary paperwork with the school, and she had to be told that it has to be done every single year so that she can maintain schooling him at home. Because when he had an asthma attack, her thought was he shouldn't miss all of school. So what she did was care for his asthma and then make sure he went and did his schoolwork while at home. So keep that in mind. It's always good to know your school's policy, and probably keep in communication, especially if there is a mental health issue going on with the child or a medical issue. It's probably good to talk to the school up front so that they understand and they can work with you on a plan, and they're less likely to make a call to DCF. Now, when it comes to academic performance, DCF is not going to be called if your child is getting poor grades, though, the school is probably going to call you a lot. But if there is a reason for the poor grades, perhaps they need some type of adjustment to their schedule or adjustment to their classes, or they might need some special education services. Now, if a parent has neglected to follow up with the school's recommendation, hasn't taken the child to testing, most of that is actually paid for by the school, especially if the school is asking for the testing. And so those things are not done, the school may call DCF to say, hey, this child's educational needs are being neglected because the parent hasn't signed up for whatever the testing or whatever the service was. So when DCF gets involved, and under those circumstances, they're going to ask why. And sometimes there's a disagreement with what the child needs, or sometimes the parent hasn't fully understood what's happening at school. I've actually had a case where the school really didn't communicate well to the parent what was needed. So it's important to pay attention to those notices, pay attention to those letters, go to the PPT meetings, go to the 504 meetings, make sure that you are heavily involved in the process, so that if a call is made, you can say, no, I've gone to this and I've talked to my doctor disagrees and thinks this ought to be happening, but at least you have some kind of documentation that you are addressing your child's needs, and maybe it's just a disagreement with the school. So keep all of those things in mind. Make sure you understand your school's attendance policies, and make sure you're engaged in their academic performance and what they might need. Sometimes you need to fight the school around what your child needs, but be involved. And that way, if a call is made, you can have the documentation, the justification for what you have done, and so DCF won't see that as educational neglect. If you ever have any questions about that, or you need assistance, don't hesitate to contact us. We also have a ton of videos dealing with DCF, and so it's a great way to get educated as to how to deal with DCF should they call you.